Hello everyone. Sometimes when I click to record, the box doesn't pop up on my screen, and it's behind. It's like on the main screen. It's behind Firefox and all that. And if I minimize everything, it's there. When I maximize everything, it's still gone. But it's recording, and I've tried it, and it overlaps me here. But when I replay it, it's where it should be. But I'm always worried that something's going to screw up. So it took me 4 tries to start this video today. Okay. This is Epic History TV. Epic History TV? Yes, it was. Napoleon seizes power. Don't mind the wind. I got the windows open. Brumaire Coup? Brumaire Coup? I don't know. Anyways, we're going to break this into 2 parts, 15 and a half minutes or so. Before we get started, there's a thanks button on the channel. You can donate. You don't have to. Subscribe if you'd like, and give me a thumbs up at minimum. Okay? Let's get to the video.
October 1799. After 500 days campaigning in Egypt and Syria, Napoleon has returned to France.
I was just thinking as I started this, is this after the Egypt campaign or before? Okay, I've done the one on Egypt and all that. So this is him returning to France because of all that. So, okay, now I'm...
And with a small entourage, he travels north to Paris. Everywhere he goes, he is greeted by crowds, embraced by dignitaries, and feted as a conquering hero. But such celebrations cannot hide that France is a country in crisis and despair. Banditry is so rife that Napoleon's own luggage is stolen en route. Prices are soaring. So too are taxes. Trade has been decimated by years of war and blockade. There is conscription, censorship, and corruption. Abroad, France once more faces a powerful coalition of enemies. And though General Massena's brilliant victory at Zurich has won respite, France is not safe yet. But in Bonaparte, many see a savior for the country. Thanks to his own propaganda, everyone has heard of his brilliant victories in Italy and Egypt. His name is celebrated in newspapers and plays. The air rings with cries of, "Hurrah for Bonaparte! He will save the country!"
Can we just talk about real fast the amount of stress that has to put on you? I have to believe that he cared. To hear that, there's some pride in that. They believe in you. You want to show them that there's a reason to. But man, that will wear on you, especially if you start to make a bad decision or two and they start to question you. Ooh.
Not everyone is thrilled by the general's return. At the very top of French government, some wonder if Bonaparte should not be court-martialed for abandoning his army in Egypt, and now flouting France's quarantine laws. However, Napoleon does now have a letter from the Directory.
They had the Black plague going on around there, right? If I remember correct from the last video.
Bordering his...
in Egypt, I mean. Some of his men had got killed. Is that what they're referring to? He didn't quarantine when he came back? Or was it in France as well? I just don't remember. Somebody can fill me in.
His return to France, though he acted before receiving it. There's also concern that a move against such a hugely popular general could easily backfire. For his part, Napoleon regards the government with contempt, a sentiment he's happy to share in private. Over breakfast, he tells General Thibault, "These men are bringing France down to the level of their own blundering. They are degrading her." Well, what can generals expect from this government of lawyers? To Napoleon, it's self-evident that he would do a better job, given all his glorious achievements in Italy and Egypt. Since 1795, France has been ruled by the Directory, a 5-man executive whose members hold power for 5 years. In 1799...
Is this because they've killed the king and the queen? Sorry, I'm trying to read the names. They've killed the king and queen. Yeah, they killed... When did they kill them? 1790s? It was some... they're long gone now. So is this the new government? I'm moving my hands a lot, I'm
Its
sorry.
members are Paul Barras, Napoleon's first patron, infamously corrupt and dissolute, but a shrewd political operator. He has been a permanent member of the Directory since its formation. Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès, a former priest who wrote the revolution's most famous political pamphlet, now regarded as the leading political thinker in France. Then 3 staunch Republicans, appointed to the Directory just 4 months ago, under outside pressure. Louis Goyer, a veteran Jacobin and former minister in the National Convention. Jean-François Moulin, a Jacobin general who had commanded in the bloody war in the Vendée. And Pierre-Roger Ducos, a more moderate figure and ally of Sieyès. The other major element of government, the legislature, is comprised of the Council of 500, who draft laws, and the Council of Elders, who approve them. Members of both councils dress in extravagant costumes, inspired by their great model to which they refer constantly, the ancient Republic of Rome. This government, the Directory in particular, is now widely regarded as corrupt, ineffective, and unfit to survive. And powerful men on the inside will play a leading role in its destruction. On his return to Paris, Napoleon takes up residence in the home of the Beauharnais family on Rue de la Victoire, which has been renamed in his own honor. Given the unsettled political climate, he faces an uncertain and potentially dangerous few months in the capital. One man he can count on as a valuable guide, his younger brother, Lucien. He serves in the Council of 500 as the deputy for Corsica, and has recently been elected its president. As such, he will be a key player in the weeks ahead. But first comes a stormy
Was the brother voted in because of who he was? Or was he voted in on his own merit? He was worthy of that position of the president of the 500. I don't know anything about him, so I'm asking you.
Union with his wife Josephine, which quickly gives way to a passionate rapprochement. Both have been guilty of infidelities, but Napoleon is clearly still in love, and his earlier talk of divorce is quietly forgotten. Henceforth, Josephine will prove a faithful wife, and through her social connections, an important political ally. Paris is awash with talk of plots and conspiracies. Rumours of threats from the left, ex-Jacobins, who oversaw the bloody days of the Terror. And from the right, secret royalists who want to turn back the clock.
I'm sorry for all the pauses, but why were they, and I'm sure I forgot, and I apologize for the stuttering there. Why were they called Jacobins? Was it short for something? Was it somebody's last name, somebody's first name, Jacob, and then a bunch of them were just Jacob? I don't even remember. Yeah, I don't even know if I ever have heard it. I've seen a lot of videos, so I do apologize for this, but if anyone knows.
And there are those who seek a third option. Soon after his arrival in Paris, Napoleon receives a visit from France's ex-foreign minister, Maurice de Talleyrand. Talleyrand, a keen observer of which way the political wind was blowing, had resigned from the government in July. Having worked with Napoleon in planning the Egyptian expedition, he now proposes they collaborate on another plan: to replace the government of France. Napoleon, disgusted by the current regime, immediately welcomes the idea. Talleyrand then reveals that a member of the Directory itself is working to bring down the regime. Sieyès. The country's leading political thinker has decided that the Directory must be cast aside, and that France must have a new constitution, which he intends to write. He plans to sweep away the chaotic, unruly legislature and its weak, ineffectual executive. To save the Republic, radical reforms are needed, and an entirely new form of government. Sieyès already has the support of another director, Roger Ducos, and the president of the Council of Elders, Louis-Nicolas Lemercier. He even has the support of the president of the Council of 500, Lucien Bonaparte. Minister of Police Joseph Fouché, who has eyes and ears across Paris, is also aware of their conspiracy, but has agreed not to intervene. Now Sieyès seeks a sword, as he puts it, a military figurehead to keep the army on side and be wielded at the decisive moment, and then sheathed afterwards. But such a man is proving difficult to find. Sieyès' first choice had been General Joubert, Napoleon's talented subordinate at Rivoli, but he'd been killed earlier that year, shot dead at the Battle of Norvy in northern Italy. General MacDonald is sounded out, but is too much the honest Republican for such skullduggery. General Moreau, who has led the Army of the Rhine with great success, declines the role. In a moment he will later regret. He recommends Bonaparte. There's your man. He will make a better job of your coup d'etat than I could. Sieyès does not like Napoleon. His ambition is too obvious. It is Talleyrand who persuades Sieyès that they have found their sword. On the 23rd of October, Napoleon and Sieyès meet for the first time. They agree that the Republic is in grave peril, from enemies within and without, and that the Directory cannot meet the challenge. Within a week, they agree to launch a coup to overthrow the government of France. The conspirators plan their coup for the 7th of November, 16th Brumaire, according to France's revolutionary calendar, the month of fog. It's a risky operation that will take 2 days, during which any number of things could go wrong. Many of the plotters take precautions. Sieyès carries a briefcase stuffed with cash for a quick getaway. Fouché, the Minister of Police, has drafted orders for Napoleon's arrest in case he needs to switch sides. Napoleon sleeps with 2 loaded pistols by his bed. At the last minute, there's a 48-hour postponement. So instead, that night, Bonaparte dines at General Bernadotte's apartment on the Rue de Cisalpine. They are joined by Generals Moreau and Jourdan. He wants the support of these influential generals for his coup. Moreau agrees to help. Jourdan promises not to interfere. But Bernadotte is outraged and warns Napoleon that he'll be guillotined. "We'll see," says Napoleon. The 9th of November, Paris. In the crisp hours before dawn, Napoleon meets around 60 officers that he's invited to his house. He informs them that he's decided he must act to save the Republic and asks for their support. They affirm their loyalty with oaths of allegiance. The most important man to convince is General Lefebvre, the no-nonsense military commander of Paris. But Napoleon knows his man. He presents Lefebvre with the sword he wore at the Battle of the Pyramids as a mark of his great esteem, and the general is won over. "Let's go throw those bloody lawyers in the river," he growls. At 7 a.m, the Council of Elders meets in an unscheduled early session at the Tuileries Palace. Only Sieyès' allies have been invited, so without opposition, they quickly passed 2 measures. First, Napoleon is to be given immediate command of the Paris military district, using the pretext of a non-existent Jacobin plot. Second, tomorrow the legislature will move from its usual meeting place in the centre of Paris to the Château de Saint-Cloud, 5 miles west outside the city. This, the plotters tell the council, is for their own safety. The Paris mob is famed for its unpredictable and violent political interventions. The move is, of course, to protect the conspirators themselves from such an event. At 10 a.m, Napoleon arrives at the Tuileries. He speaks to the Council of Elders, reassures them that the trusted generals Lefebvre and Berthier are by his side, and concludes, "We want a republic founded upon true liberty, on civil liberty, on national representation. We will have it. I swear it."
I'm going to end it there because it's going to start to get into the violence, and I don't want to stop in the middle of a battle. So we're going to end it here. We'll be back with part 2, and we'll get into the more of this. Into the finish of this. When were the king and queen beheaded? I did a DNA test. If you're interested, videos, you can find it. And I'm related to King Louis the 16th, the one who looks like this now. Where'd my head go? That one? Yeah, I share a bloodline with him. So, I was curious. I want to say it was. I keep wanting to say 1792, but I'm not sure. I know Washington. I know he was president. I don't know. It's not coming to me. 89. Well, 89 was when he became president. Washington. I judge history by presidents. Anyways, so I'm going to end this here, but we'll be back with part 2. And until then, have a good day, have a good night.